What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, I started this video last night when I started this whole project, but per usual I got really frustrated, really worked up, trying to figure out how to make it work and everything, that I just kind of did one side, stopped it for the night because as I'm going to explain in a little bit, things went kind of sideways. So I think I'm just going to restart this all together, have a better attitude going into it, and actually get you guys some usable information and some good content without being frustrated and worked up. But real quick before we dive in, guys, we're shooting for 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you were not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't even have a YouTube account, I used to be on your guys' boat for a while on not wanting to make an account, but it truly is making an account, and it's not like they send you any emails or stupid stuff. It's just so you can subscribe to people. So if you don't even have an account, go ahead and make one and subscribe to me. I'd really appreciate it. Alrighty, boys, so if you watched one of the previous videos where I was back up in Carson City, Nevada, you'll see that I stopped by MarTec Engineering, Nick Mar's shop, paid him a visit, got to catch up with him, and on my way out I snagged us a pair of these new poly motor mounts right here. Look at these things. It's sort of like a hybrid between a fully solid off-road motor mount and a stock motor mount. This is what we've been working on. We're trying to get new motor mounts in the truck, swapping out the old ones. But now I guess we should talk about what went wrong yesterday. Now I'm gonna try my best to get you guys these angles, but it's a really tight area tucked away in the back, so let's try to make this work. Alright, so if you look back there, you can see there's a bracket that mounts to the side of the motor with 4 bolts, one there, one right here behind this wire, and then one up in the top corner behind the control arm. So you have to take those 4 bolts out. You can kind of see the top of a center bolt right there. Right there, you have to take a nut off, and then there's 2 bolts, one right there and one right there, that you have to take nuts off of. Then the bracket should shimmy out, and you should be able to take the old motor mount out from under that. Now the problem we ran into is taking off the 4 bolts on the bracket. These 3 came out super easy, totally fine, but that top corner one that you can't see gave me some struggles coming out. It was very tense coming out, and I had no idea why. But I ended up eventually getting it out, and when it came time to put everything back together, it wouldn't go back in. It would thread in maybe the first 2 or 3 threads, and then just completely seize up and stop. And I had no idea what was going on. So here's the culprit right here. I tried threading it in, threading it out. It wasn't really working. I pulled one of the other bolts back out and tried threading it in to see if it was just the bolt itself. And I don't think that was it, because that bolt would not thread in either. And this one was threading into a different hole perfectly fine. So I think it's the receiving end. Somehow, some way, something in the receiving threads in the side of the engine are just completely botched and not allowing a bolt to go in. Now you can see why this is a problem. I can't get a bolt that holds the motor to the frame in, and it's a hole inside the side of the engine, so it's not something easily fixable for me, at least. So I don't know how I'm gonna go about solving this problem today. And that is your guys' motivation to stick around to see how I eventually end up solving it, because I'm just lost right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna try to attack the driver's side right now, show you guys that process, show you guys how we can make it all work. And then once the driver's side is done, we're gonna revisit this problem. We'll save it best for last, you know, and we're gonna try to make it work. But I don't know what the solution looks like. We're gonna make it work, guys. So let's jump over to the driver's side, get that swapped out, and then we'll come back to this. Now, one of the really messed up things about this whole project is that you need a cherry picker to kind of pull the engine from the top end and lift it up when, you know, support it, hold it up while the motor mounts are not attached. The problem being is I don't have one of those. So I'm using a jack, trying to jack from the bottom, but there's no really good points to jack from the bottom that are not sketchier than shit. So we're jacking from points that are sketchier than shit. So please don't hose me for that in the comments. I know I shouldn't be jacking from where I'm jacking from, but like I said, we're gonna make it work. I also have Stanley Steamer here cleaning my house right now, so there might be a little bit of background noise. Now, the difference I'm seeing so far is on the passenger side, there were 4 bolts to the engine. On the driver's side, there's only 3. It's a triangle, which is kind of weird, but it looks like the bolts are a lot easier to get to on this side. The only problem is one of them has a wire that is mounted directly in front of it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a wrench in there, let alone be able to thread it out.
Hi, Mom. You still filming me?
Yeah, I don't know if you have any words just in case yesterday's footage doesn't make it.
I got nothing, dude. I don't even know what to do with my hands.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah, great.
So while we wait for Nick to reach back out to us, let's take a minute from the install and go ahead and thank this video's sponsor, which is going to be MarTec Engineering. Now, he's not officially saying he wanted to be the sponsor of any of this, but I really wanted to give him a shout out because he provided the motor mounts. He's hopping on Instagram Live with us, helping us do the install, walking us through step by step, and he's just been a great help and a great friend. So I want the sponsor of this video to be MarTec Engineering. If you guys are into rock crawling of any sorts, this is the place to go. Even if you're not into rock crawling, if you're more like SoCal vibes like I do, like high desert, high speed kind of stuff, do some light trail stuff, there are still things on his website for you. Exhibit A, the motor mounts we're installing today, guys. These aren't a completely solid motor mount, so you don't have to deal with all that vibration and harsh feeling of it, and you don't have to swap the trans mount over as well. It's sort of an in-between a stock and a solid, so I think it's a really, really cool product. But again, if you are into rock crawling, or even if you want to 3-link the rear of your truck for some high desert off-roading, he has that too. 3-link rear kits, shock relocation towers in the front, solid axle swaps. He does turnkey builds if you're up in the Nevada area and just want to drop your truck off with him and have him do the whole thing. He's got all kinds of things, so go check out his website, go support his Instagram, and check out the videos I've made with him before. Thank you so much, Nick, and I hope to hear from you right now because we're just waiting. All right, well, good thing I called him because he said on the driver's side it is completely different than the passenger side for some silly reason. You don't have to take out the bracket attaching to the engine. What you do instead is this side has 2 bolts right here that once you remove, along with the other 3 bolts we have to do, the whole thing just drops out from here. So, should be a lot easier. Alright, so I think the key thing to know about this motor mount install is that it is a lot of time trying to figure out the angles in which you can get a wrench or a ratchet into the right area, into the right angle, the right sizing of the socket, and which wrench or ratchet you're using to make it all work and break these bolts and nuts that you need to break. The other side, it took a long time just figuring out how to work it in there and get it. For this one specifically, you can see way in there, way in there that I'm trying to break the nut on the center of the mount. And to achieve that, I have a breaker bar long enough to get deep in there, a deep socket to get past whatever heat shrink wire harness this is right here, because that is directly in the way, so I have to go over it. And even then I was barely able to make it work. So I got it loose now and I can just go in with a smaller one and get it to work. Little insight, we're about halfway done with tearing down this mount, so I'll catch up with you guys once we're done. All right, we got everything cracked finger loose. Now it's time to just take everything off and let it drop completely out. Oh my God, almost forgot to support the engine before dropping the mount completely. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Well, it's not falling straight out like he said it would, so that means either there's tension on it from the engine being too low, or I missed something. Alright, so I found the problem I'm running into. This is not the driver's side one that we're working on, this is the one that I already had out, but as you can see, there's 2 hooks right here that sit up and latch on to one of the mounts. I think it's the bracket that we didn't loosen or take off. And you also have this bolt going through the center, so it's not just dropping straight out because it's latched on. So I need to get these up and to slide down, but I can't do an up and slide down motion with this bolt still going through it. So I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know if I need to raise the engine more. I don't know if that's going to damage it if I keep raising the engine more the way I'm doing it. I don't know if I need to loosen the passenger side so there's more play. Alrighty boys, doing this yourself is officially no longer worth it. I was pulling the motor mount out, so I just jacked it up to the point where I can just grab it and start to pull it and compress the rubber and pop it out. And my finger slid straight into a sharp corner of the engine, the bottom side of the engine, and scooped a chunk out of my finger to the point where it was deep enough to notice. And I see something white in there. I've done no health classes. I'm not a doctor or a nurse or anything. I don't know if that's bone or if it's like something else. I don't know, but it was bleeding profusely down my hand. There is a chunk missing from my finger, and my body's trying to decide right now if I want to pass out or throw up, but I wanted to get this motor mount in so the engine doesn't have all that stress under it just being lifted up. So I'm gonna try to finish this side real fast and then go take care of my finger, but I don't think it's worth it anymore to be doing this myself. I should have paid somebody, but we're pushing through, boys. All right, finger's still a little messed up, but we got it done. I got the whole driver's side intact. It was super, super easy once it came out. You literally just push it straight up, put the bolt through, and it's only 3 bolts to attach it. So got the driver's side all buttoned up, all super, super tightened down on that side. I'm finishing up retightening everything on the passenger side, making sure it's all tight. And once it's all put back together, that only leaves one problem, and that is that stupid little bolt. Well, not the bolt. It's not the bolt's fault. It's the receiving end. So I'm kind of torn right now. Do I try to tap it myself and potentially make it worse? Do I just take it to like an auto body shop down the street real fast and see if they can do it and not worry about it and call it a day? I wouldn't mind doing it myself, but it is like out of all the bolts we've messed with this entire install, this is like the most awkward one because it is directly behind the coil bucket and the highest up. So I have to go around the mount all the way up behind a coil bucket. So I can't like look straight into it. There's not a lot of room to be turning stuff or like working in there. It's like, I'm a little hesitant to do it myself. I might still try because if I fuck it up, then I'm back to option A, which is take it to a shop and have them fix it. It just sucks that it's like in the side of the engine. So it's not like a nut that I could just replace or something like that. But before I go ahead and mess with that, let me kind of like walk you guys through sort of some of the difficulties I saw, sort of some things you have to do to make it all work, because again, I don't know if I'm gonna show a whole lot from yesterday. So let me just do a brief overview of the passenger side and kind of fill you guys in if you decide to do this yourself. So as mentioned before, these 4 bolts holding in the bracket up there, those are very tedious to work out as far as getting the angle in and the right combination of sockets and ratchets and wrenches and stuff. So it's just a matter of taking your time and finding what works, finding what angle works best for you. Again, you want to go ahead and loosen and crack all the 2 bolts down there, the center nut and the 4 bolts there before you take anything completely out, because it will start to flex on you when you're trying to break certain things. Now, once you have it all taken apart, you're gonna wanna lift the engine, start jacking it up from the bottom, or use the cherry picker and pull from the top to the point where you can grab that bracket that has the 4 bolts and just shimmy it off and out, and then you can take the whole mount off and out. And once it's all off and out, you can reinstall that bracket, and then once it's installed, take the new motor mount and push it just straight up the bottom. It's so easy because it just has those bolts that slide in and out of the bottom versus a fixed bolt like the stock ones have. So you can really just push it in super easy and then send the bolt straight through the bottom instead of having to work an angle because it's attached to it, you know? Now, if you're using a floor jack like I did, probably best to have an off-road one that lifts higher than mine does. I had to use blocks of wood, but as far as the passenger side goes, I know it is super, super sketchy and super frowned upon, but I had to jack up from directly under the engine right there. Luckily, I had the blocks of wood to hopefully disperse some of the pressure on it and give it a bigger surface area. But for the driver's side, I found it super easy to just go off of right where the exhaust comes out, you know, right where it dumps out right there. That's where I used it for the driver's side, and it worked way better because I was able to get more lift. I wasn't stressed about cracking the bottom. And yeah, working the driver's side, you have to lift the engine a lot more to get that motor mount out, because like I showed you, it's got the 2 hooks and it has the bolt going through. So you have to jack it up like a lot to get play in there. And then what I did is once it was just about out, I grabbed the top. And you might not want to do this unless you want to take a chunk out of your finger too. But I grabbed the top and I compressed the rubber and it shot out. And that's what kind of cut my finger. When it came out, it just knocked the block. And then yeah, reinstalling that one's super easy as well, because you literally just push it straight up. You're not even messing with a bracket on the driver's side. You just push the new mount straight up, send the bolt through, and it's 3 bolts tight. Boom, done. And again, with both sides, it's just a matter of finding how to get a wrench in there, how long to make it, different angles to work it. But it does work. Again, let me show you guys what I ended up using so you could see just like how minimal of tools you need. So this is pretty much all the tools I used. Ignore the sizes because I don't know if I used all these sizes. Definitely used a 17, definitely used a 19, definitely used a 14 or a 9/16 because I lost my 14. And the 24 is out because I had to do the little trick, you know, where you just put the 2 mouths of it in to get leverage and crack it, because I was using, I think I was using the 14 on some things that I couldn't get a wrench into or a breaker bar, so I had to, you know, I had to make it work that way. But essentially, yeah, breaker bar is going to be your best friend because there's some really tight shit in there. You're going to have to use leverage. You're going to have to find a way to make leverage work and make it be your friend, whether it's the mouth trick on some wrenches, using a breaker bar, or doing a broke man's breaker bar where you get a smaller wrench in, then you just take the handle of the jack or any sort of pipe and make it longer just to break it. That's what I had to do. That's going to be my biggest tip, is make the leverage work with a breaker bar, broke man's breaker bar, or the mouth trick. But hey, dude, we got them in. Get under here. Get in here. Look at these things. Damn. They're looking good. They're looking spiffy. They look super minimalist too. And like I said, when it comes to taking them back out, or if it's years down the road and now you need to replace the poly bushings, all you have to do is just drop this bolt out, replace it, boom, slide it right back in. It's so easy. Okay. Now with all the hip hip hooray done, it's time to tackle the last monster of this job, which I'm still a little frustrated still exists, because if it wasn't for this, I'd be done. Well, I'd be driving right now. I'd be showing you guys how it looks and how it feels, but it can never be that easy. Am I right? It's never that easy. Alrighty, boys. Dime decided to take it on himself, and it's going. It's just very tedious because there's not a lot of room to work with in here, and given that this is a cheap Harbor Freight tap and die set, the end of this isn't really usable for any sockets because it's like a rectangle shape on the end, which kind of sucks because I would speed this up a lot more, but slow and steady wins the race, I guess. Slowly but surely she's going in. I'm probably about halfway, maybe a third of the way, so I'm just gonna keep chipping away at this until it's done. It's going in. I hear it's carving through. It's not super stiff, which is nice. I'm able to do it, and boys, fingers crossed. Pray for me, please, because if this doesn't work, I'm breaking something. Boys, I want you to share in this historic and triumphant moment with me. We are a few turns away from this bolt going all the way back in. Count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah, just kidding. Ooh, boys, I did it. Oh my God. I know some of you are like, okay, dude, it's just a bull. Like, you don't understand the struggle I've been through the past 2 days doing this install, or any install really. It's not just this one. I feel like every one I kind of go through a rough patch and have to kind of regather myself, but we did it. Didn't have to take it into a shop, threaded it myself, got the bolt in. Boys, I am proud to announce that the motor mounts are officially in and bolted up. They look great. They look so clean, so durable, and so just simple. It makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna clean up all the tools now, get everything squared away, put the skid plate back on, and then we're going for a drive to see if they add a lot more vibration or if it's tolerable. Before I go ahead and throw the skid plate on, over the past year, I've been meeting all kinds of great people, all these people that support me and all these people that I want to support, whether it be companies, individuals, businesses, anything like that, racers. So I keep getting all these stickers from all these people that I love, and I got nowhere to put them. My back window's filling up and I can't put any more on the windows. So I came up with the idea of sticker slapping my entire skid plate and putting all these guys that I love and support and all these guys I want to be on my truck, but there's just no room to put them all in the back window. I'm just gonna cover my whole skid plate in people that support me and people that I want to support. So first thing is first, Nick, buddy, you're earning the first spot on the skid plate. Bam, there you go, guys. Front and center, top of the skid plate. I want to thank Nick so much again for providing these motor mounts and for just being so supportive and letting me film videos with him and all this great stuff. It's time for that initial drive. Now, the reason I want to do an initial test drive and a feel out for you guys is because if you're not familiar with motor mounts or aftermarket motor mounts, the more solid you go, obviously it's all metal, no rubber to absorb the vibrations of the engine, and it sends it sort of throughout the vehicle, and you can sort of feel like if you went full solid motor mounts, you'd feel like a vibrating or like a rattling sort of at idle if you're just sitting there. So I'm curious to see how these are, since they're not completely stock, but they're not fully solid. So let's see how they do. So far, it feels no different than the stock ones, to be honest. I mean, I might feel like a buzzing in my feet, not like a vibration or like a shaking. It's more so just like a very mild hum in my feet, but nothing like, I don't feel a whole lot getting transferred up to me as much as I thought I was going to. Let's drive it around, let it warm up, and see if we could feel anything a little different. All right, I'm back from the test drive, and no, those initial impressions were pretty spot on. They held true through the entire drive. I stopped at like 4 or 5 stop signs and sat there for about a minute or two, and the most that I feel is maybe like a light humming at the feet, like almost like a little like I don't know, not a vibration, I don't know, like it's just like a little tingle, you know, just like a little tingle at the feet, but nothing crazy. I thought it was gonna be like sending it all up the chair and you'd feel it and it'd be like rattling the truck, but like, dude, that is almost next to nothing. For you replacing those old crappy stock mounts for something a little more off-road driven and a little more rugged, vibration, dude, it's not even a contest. Oh man, I'm happy. Guys, if you're looking for new motor mounts, whether yours are blown out or you're just looking to upgrade to something a little more rugged, a little better for abuse from off-roading, these are definitely the go-to. I'm telling you, these are the products you're gonna wanna go with. For somebody like me who enjoys sort of sitting on a fence and trying to get the best of both worlds, this is a perfect in-between product from solid motor mounts, which you really don't need unless you have like a crazy pre-runner, or stock motor mounts. You're sitting right in the middle with a perfect medium right in the middle. So guys, what more do I need to say? MarTec Engineering, he's got the motor mounts for you guys. He also has a bunch of other products, so go check him out. Check out his Instagram, check out his Tacoma build, check out his website, and I want to thank him again so much, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a rough video. If you made it this far, you know what, if you made it this far, I'm filling you in on something. I have ordered those spare tire straps I've been talking about. We have custom Desert Dime spare tire straps coming in, only a limited order of 20. So if you guys want one, make sure you stay tuned, turn on post notifications on Instagram and on here, just so you're informed, because again, it's only 20 in the batch. I also have shirts that are gonna be ordered very soon, maybe in the next week or two. So we're having Desert Dime shirts coming out. If you guys stuck around that long, you get to know. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life